an estimated 253 million people live with vision impairment. Out of which 36 million are blind and 217 million have moderate to severe vision impairment. Education for people who are visually impaired is a big challenge. Let us look at the current solutions available for it. The Braille displays in the market cost from $500 to $3,000, which display content stored in the memory of device. To put in perspective how expensive this is, a daily wage laborer in developing countries like India earns around $4 to $9 per day. That too if they're lucky enough to find work. So even with someone with healthy eyes who can work, the price of current Braille solutions in the market is just unaffordable. And for the people who are visually impaired and cannot even grind themselves like a daily wage laborer to earn, the Braille displays that cost thousands of US dollars is just too luxury to even dream of. The books in Braille are too bulky, difficult and expensive to print. And after talking to Shyam, who lost most of his vision in 1990 and now runs a school for the visually impaired since 1999, and Rakhi Fadnis, who is an educator working for the visually impaired for 20 years, I got to know that the books in Braille for 90% of the needed content in science and literature simply do not even exist. With a bit of hacking around with the stuff I had and linear electromagnetic actuators, I was successfully able to create a digital Braille cell that works. For testing, I went to Akshat, who is preparing for law school admissions and does not have 100% of the vision since birth. He gave me the feedback that letters on display are clear and readable. Thus, the prototype of cheap Braille cell worked. The final product will have an array of these cells, which will be much smaller and cheaper when mass produced. Now the question is, how to convert the media from source that could be digital text, speech and printed text to Braille, or formats that a visually impaired person could understand. This is where the magic of Azure Cognitive Services comes into play. Using it and a cross-platform framework, I made a mobile app. Now firstly, a question might arise, how a person who cannot see partially or completely would use the app. Simple. There are many inbuilt features in Android and iOS to help people with limited to no sight in navigating through the UI. Let's get to the functioning of the app, which is divided into 3 tabs: OCR, text and speech. In the OCR tab, user can configure the Bluetooth connection setting and connect to the device. Select the photo from the phone or take a new one. The Azure OCR services then extract the text out of the image, and then the user can send it to the device for reading in Braille or convert to speech through Azure Text-to-Speech, or just save the text. Then in the second tab, user can create a new text file or select a pre-existing text file for converting it to Braille through Bluetooth or convert it to speech through Azure Text-to-Speech. In the third tab, user can select the recording from the phone or create a new recording. The Azure Speech-to-Text extracts the text, which can be sent to the Braille device or saved as a text file or converted to speech through Azure Text-to-Speech. Now to summarize, this project solves the problem for the education of visually impaired through a wireless hardware device and a mobile app that can communicate via Bluetooth and convert OCR to Braille, text to Braille or normal speech to Braille. And even if the students do not have access to the hardware part, they can still use text to speech, OCR to text or speech, and speech to text functionalities that will be useful for the teachers and students in the visually impaired education. Now, as the central point of this solution is to be affordable to the section of society that cannot earn in a traditional way, the total cost of the hardware part is kept less than $15, and software, which is powered by Azure Cognitive Services, is a mobile application that can be provided for free. Offloading the processing from hardware to smartphone eliminates the use of expensive embedded microprocessors in hardware, thus saving money. And the app only renders widgets and handles Bluetooth connection. All the heavy processing or recognition is done on the Azure AI platform, making the app operable on phones with low-end processors. And finally, this project was built while working with the teachers and students who will be the actual users of this solution to ensure its usability.